Hi, good evening. How are you all? Hope doing great. Today we are going to discuss the most important aspect of English, that is the debatable topic of English. If grammar is very important, and if it's so, why? The answer may be yes in some cases and might be no in some other cases. So let us understand where and why and for what reasons the grammar is important and grammar is not important, and if it's so, to what extent. So let us say today's topic is English for specific purpose. English for specific purpose. Why do you need English? Where do you need English? You need English basically for the young aspirants who are graduating, and that is the primary reason, I believe. And that is for cracking interviews. So English for interviews. And even before that, English for job test. To make you understand, I wrote this job test, but professionally we say it is the verbal test or the aptitude test. And the other reason for English is English for proficiency test. And this is again also for the young graduates who are aspiring to go abroad. This is for jobs and this is for going abroad. They would like to write the proficiency tests. See, when you say test, both are different. The proficiency tests are different and the job test or the verbal is different. The proficiency test, hope you might be knowing, that is IELTS or PTE or maybe TOEFL and GRE. And recently Duolingo was also taking boom. It's also taking boom, but I don't prefer Duolingo much. Of course, we would also talk about that a little later. So these are the basic two purposes. But the other thing is, we need that also for competitive exams. We need English for competitive exams. May it be for group services, the government jobs, or the banking sector jobs. And that competitive exams are totally different. The aspect is different from the proficiency tests. And then it is different from interviews and then the verbal test. And this is for tests and interviews on one hand, but on the other hand, we need English for regular conversation. We need English for daily conversation. May it be for socializing. A general, whenever you gather in a corporate social meetings or among the relatives or in the higher ranking people, or it may be for business conversation, or when you go to market, you buy things. Nowadays, everywhere, the salesmen are also talking English. That is, of course, from the salesman side, from the company side, it is business English, but for us, it is a very normal English. So everywhere you go, we need English. So one is for in blue, that is for general reasons, and the other thing is for professional reasons. And when we talk about the importance of grammar, to what extent the grammar is important. When you talk about the competitive examinations and the proficiency tests, you need 80 to 100%. 80% to 100% grammar. You need all the rules in depth. And for also proficiency tests. Because there you have the exercises where a very single point meticulously, even an article mistake, that is, instead of writing a, if you write an, or instead of writing the, if you write a, that will lead to reducing of your score. And that's where you need very much important. The grammar is totally important there. But of course, if you have it to the extent of 80%, you can manage the test. But if you have the 100% accuracy levels, you can get the best score. So if you want to get the best score, you need to the extent of 90 to 100% in competitive or in the proficiency test. And contrarily, if it is for the job test, you need 60 to 80%. More than 80%, fine. That anyhow would be the best. But you can manage the test if you have to the extent of 60%, where you can manage and get through the test. But if you want to stand among the crowd, the minimum that you have to get is 80%. If you have 70 to 80% of the grammar rules and the knowledge, you will definitely crack the verbal test. And of course, when you talk about the verbal test or in GRE, we talk about the vocabulary. And here I'm talking only about the importance of grammar and not the vocabulary. Here, but when I said verbal includes grammar and also vocabulary. And the percentage of grammar knowledge dominates to the extent of 80%, because using of vocabulary also depends on the accuracy levels of grammar. And that examples we would look in the further videos. We'll try to understand through our further videos. And how about the conversation? There, if you are able to manage to the extent of 50%, you can manage. But of course, always, if you are more than that, always be accurate. So here what I would like to say is fluency first and accuracy next. Do not give more importance to the accuracy of the quality of sentence if you're talking about the conversational, everyday functional English. And if you have this kind of balancing attitude of using the knowledge of grammar, you will overcome the complete fear about grammar. Because most people tend to go back in speaking English because of bothering about the grammar rules and the sentence formation, tenses, how to use in, on, prepositions and all. So if you really want to become fluent and speak fluently without any hesitation or fear, just stop bothering about grammar unless you take the proficiency test or the other competitive examinations. Then how about the interviews? Also the same thing. If you can manage to the extent of 60%, that would be fine. How confidently you speak in an interview is more important than how grammatically accurate sentences you make. And that is in interviews, of course. For each purpose, we would be continuing in our next videos. Thank you all.